Coming up, a tour of our gardens in the wintertime. Hello, I'm Wendy and this is the Mountain Farmhouse. Welcome. If this is your first time visiting, I'd like to give you an especially warm welcome, even though it's freezing here. It is February in the Catskill Mountains of upstate New York. We love it here no matter what the weather. Today I plan to show you a little tour of some of my garden areas and I hope that you'll enjoy it. Let's get started. We're starting the garden tour just out the back door. This is our rose garden. Once upon a time there was a little barn that sat in this spot, and that barn was where they put the eggs when this was a working farm, and people would come to the door to buy their eggs and the farmer would come back here to get them. But they moved that little barn, just a second, they moved it back there. If you can see that little green building back there, that actually is on top of a huge foundation that was once the very large chicken coop. But by the time we bought this property, the coop had been torn down, and what remains of the foundation that the building doesn't stand on has become the patio. So that I consider part of the garden as well, because we use it as an outdoor space and we enjoy it. Now, while we're still here and we're going to take a look, that is our little herb spiral. We built that a few years ago after we took a course in permaculture design. We became certified in permaculture design. So in this herb spiral, we grow things like mint, tarragon, lavender, and things like that, chives. Over here is a little patch of oregano, and that's sowed itself. Along here, where you have all this snowy little strip, that's peonies. And then this kind of tiered area at one point was our strawberry terrace. And it didn't do so well. The strawberries didn't hold up that well because we have a friendly neighborhood chipmunk who would always get them before we could. So we have been experimenting with planting other things in there so far. Just some flowers that critters don't like and some herbs have been successful. Over here, that's our little cold frame, or it was a cold frame. It also didn't serve us well, so we ended up taking the top off and we use it as another garden bed. I put these little hoops here so that if I need to insulate, I can. You can see some bits of garlic sprouting here, some of their leaves. We got that going in the fall, and usually they hold up really well, and we should get some garlic plants in the spring. We also have a few little things that grow around the edges of the rose garden walls, butterfly bushes and some other plants. Moving this way, you can see that arch over here. We have a wisteria that grows on it. And I do have a climbing rose on the other side, but the climbing rose doesn't get very tall. The deer come along and kind of chomp on it. Then there's some other flower beds going in there, in that direction, as well as over here. Now this stone wall, behind it are blackberries, raspberries, mint, and gooseberries, as well as this very old crabapple tree. And we love it. We do use the crab apples from time to time. I've made spiced crab apples and canned them. We've also made crabapple flavored vodka, or infused vodka, I guess you could say, and gin. This right here is the fenced area in which we keep our vegetable garden. So from this angle, I'm going to just show you, we have 6 raised beds that are 4 feet by 8 feet apiece, and we grow all kinds of things. Our salad leaves, our tomatoes and cucumbers, everything. We just love it, and all summer long we get fresh food, and it's delicious. That barrel in the corner, the tin barrel, that has 2 kiwi vines, and we have yet to get any fruit off of them. This area coming over to the left of the vegetable garden, we kind of have a wildlife habitat going on, and it's filled with this viburnum as well as blackberries. Down in this direction we still have more berries, but we also have some flowers, some perennial flowers that grow, and it's really quite beautiful. Along the edge of the barn, you can't see it now, but in the summer we have it bordered by orange daylilies, and they're absolutely spectacular. This over here is a mock orange. And now we're going to come around the bend here. Oh boy. And this is our orchard area. We planted a bunch of trees in 2016, I believe. And it was a lot of trees. Not all of them made it. Some of them are still struggling, actually, that are still here. But we have apples, we have pears, cherries, pawpaw, blueberry bushes, elderberry, mulberry, plum, and that's what we've got. We also have a lot of older established apples from which we get great applesauce and jam. That's our compost area over there. On this side of the vegetable garden, this is our sunchoke area. Now we have this kind of caged in a little bit. We have to fix that loose bit of fence there, but we have this surrounding it because bunnies and deer tend to come along and just chomp on the tops of them, and they don't get a chance to grow and get develop their flowers. And they're so beautiful when they have their flowers. We get quite a crop. Sunchokes are the kind of thing that if you decide to plant them in an area where you don't care if they spread, because they are very hardy and they do spread well. Along the outside of the vegetable garden, it's bordered by these spireas, and in the early spring we do also have daffodils that come up. Now we're coming back around the other side, so here you see the crabapple again, more spireas, and you see the birdhouses on the garden, fence posts. I find that the birds are so helpful at keeping away the bad bugs. They find them to be tasty snacks, and then I don't have as much work to do. And that's a great feature of permaculture, is to work with nature rather than fight against it. Now here, these are Nanking cherries and a butterfly bush. So here's one of the Nanking cherries, and here is a butterfly bush. Over here in this box I put some strawberries. Again, they don't do that well, but I tried. This is our back porch, and in the warmer months we have hammocks that we hang up back here. This little area here, this was already here when we bought the house. I added all these lamb's ears, and this is a spruce tree. I believe it's a blue spruce. You can see it's pretty tall. Anyway, over this way, under the spruce, is our rhubarb patch. Someone had once told me that the spruce was a hemlock, but then a tree expert just walked through here because we had to get our trees pruned, and he said, no, that's a spruce. So I'll go with what he says since he's an expert. But you can see nothing's growing here now. But this is where our rhubarb is, our asparagus, and our horseradish grow. I also have a little patch of columbine flowers which do really, really well with rhubarb. They're a helpful companion plant for rhubarb. Back in that direction are these really old lilacs which do great here. And along this fence line we've got just a bunch of wildflowers. Another evergreen that's gorgeous that I don't know the name of it. Over here, coming around this way, we have it's an apple tree that we used to call it the Dr. Seuss apple tree, and it's going to need another round of pruning. But we get these beautiful little yellow apples, and they're really sweet and tasty. There's a rose of Sharon underneath it. And we also have forsythia, which we cut way down last year because they were getting so overgrown. But this year I expect that they'll come back and be hardier than they were before. Across the road we have our blueberries and our barns. And over here is the side of the house, which we love. Going in this direction, I put some flowers in going around the screen porch. There's some sedum that you can kind of make out. And then this is a patch of antique roses. They're very hardy. They spread by runners under the ground. This is not a typical rose plant, at least not close to what I've seen, you know. But it has been here, I believe, quite a long time. And the roses are gorgeous. They're this beautiful multi-shade pink flower. And they grow in clusters. Here's our little porch. Down here is another little flower bed. And we have perennials in here, and I like to throw some annuals in as well. Then over here is our rhododendron, and it is glorious in the spring. I can't wait to show you when things are in bloom. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed your visit at the Mountain Farmhouse today. I'd love it if you would subscribe, and if you enjoyed the content, please give it a thumbs up. And I hope that you'll come back and visit us here at the Mountain Farmhouse real soon. Say bye-bye, Finn. Bye.